My name is Wallace Gator, Reverend Dr. Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president of United in Peace, Inc. As you know, this show is being presented by United in Peace, Inc. One thing I want everyone to understand, United in Peace, Inc. doesn't endorse candidates. United in Peace, Inc. not a registered voter. Me, myself, I am a registered voter, and I do, from time to time, endorse candidates to run for office. Voting is very important and very key, especially with what we're all witnessing that's happening across this country behind the Supreme Court decision, okay, where they're making their moves and knocking African American elected officials in Congress out of the office without a vote. This show was put together in part with the help of can I say, She's So Much to Me. That song, I Am Every Woman, reminds me of her. Help put the issues that we feel my viewing and listening audience need to pay attention to. And that's none other than Dr. Terry Marsh Bradley. She's also the chairman of United in Peace, Inc. We got a very interesting issue. I know they don't know if Trump's going to restart the war, but the war never stopped. I know we're trying to figure out if the bears are going to remain in Illinois. People are arguing over the fact that some people say the mayor don't have a plan for Chicago, and then after reading the article that Franz Fan and the Sun-Times wrote, there is a plan that the mayor has presented. But the issue here today is the fact that my friend Larry Hoover Sr., you heard me talk about him a lot, and a lot of y'all understand that I believe in helping those that's wrongfully convicted, that were tortured by police officers, and those that's unjustly sentenced. And by me being Reverend Dr. Gator, I realized my ministry has always been going and reaching to help those that's locked down. Got a passion, because I once was locked down, and I was blessed with redemption, and I got a pardon. So our ministry, people say, well, Gator, what's your title? I'm the Minister of Justice. Larry Hoover, April 7th, he had a hearing before the Prisoner Review Board that hears the hearings for those that want to get parole, that want to get pardoned, or who wants to have their sentence commuted to time considered served. Everybody asking the question, why is it taking the government so long? But I'm going to let you see this and figure it out for yourself. Money, let's go to work.
In other news tonight, he is one of Chicago's most notorious gang leaders, and now his bid for freedom is up to Governor Pritzker. So who is Larry Hoover, and what's behind his push for clemency? NBC5's Alex Maragos has this story.
Natalie, outside of Al Capone, Larry Hoover could go down in the record books as one of the most prolific and profitable gang leaders in Chicago history. He's one of the founders of the Gangster Disciples, but he spent over 50 years of his life behind bars. The question tonight, could that soon change? In 1974, Hoover was sentenced to 200 years in prison for the murder of William Pookie Young. And while he was in state prison, federal prosecutors say that he led the gang's operations, raking in hundreds of millions of dollars in drug sales and directing a string of violence on the streets of Chicago. And federal prosecutors won convictions that locked him up then in the so-called Supermax prison in 1994. And many of those years he spent in solitary confinement. That was until last spring, when President Trump commuted his federal sentence, and that placed Larry Hoover back in an Illinois cell. Now, Hoover's latest bid for freedom took a step on April 7th of this year. His family, his attorneys, and supporters asked the Illinois Prisoner Review Board to recommend clemency to Governor Pritzker. Now, the Cook County State's attorney argued against clemency. They filed documents showing why he should not be let out of prison. Now, the recommendation that the review board reached is confidential, and it will remain that way. The governor has that recommendation now, and there is no deadline for him to make a decision on this. He can consider it as long as he likes. Now, Hoover's family and supporters say that the 75-year-old is remorseful. He's ready to help the community, and he suffers from some health problems. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office says that Hoover still represents a danger to the community, and the gang which he helped found is still present on the streets of Chicago. President Trump helped Hoover over one hurdle to freedom, but now the governor must decide if Hoover's finish line is drawn at home or in a prison cell. Natalie?
All right, thanks to Alex.
Our viewing audience, those that may have seen it on the news or read it in the news, one thing that's key and profound, at that hearing, an individual came from New York, a renowned prosecutor that prosecuted John Gotti. He came into the hearing on the 7th of April. For those that's wondering why the hearing didn't happen in January, it's because Larry Hoover had his attorney write a letter to the Prison Review Board asking for an extension for it to be April the 7th, so that it can be on the Chicago docket, so it can be heard in Chicago. This man came in and spoke on behalf of Larry Hoover, receiving redemption, be it a pardon or the computation of Mr. Hoover's time, the time considered served. This individual that come from New York, this prosecutor, he's known for being the one that prosecuted Don Gotti, the Tap Line Don in New York. And he pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, he said he feels that Larry Hoover is a changed man. He's nothing like a John Gotti. And he felt that he would be an access to society. But I want you to hear the passion of his son in this piece right here. Let's go, Armani.
Our top story right now, a recommendation about whether to free Larry Hoover is now on Governor J.B. Pritzker's desk. Hoover is serving a life sentence after being convicted as the former leader of the Gangster Disciples. The Illinois Prisoner Review Board held a clemency hearing for Hoover on April 7th, and the board now confirms that its recommendations have been sent over to the governor. And joining us on Zoom is Larry Hoover Jr. I know you've been pushing to get your father free most of your adult life. Thank you so much for taking time out of what is a very busy schedule for yourself today to talk about this.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about this part of it. I know Trump already commuted your father, and in 2022, we know the state denied his parole. What would you like to say to the governor about freeing your father, since it kind of sounds like this could be in his hands now?
I just want to tell him he's the second chance governor. He's a senior citizen. He's served his time. He's remorseful for the things that he's done that was unsavory in his life, and he deserves a second chance. And if he's the second chance governor, please live up to that and give my father a chance to come out here and live his life with some of his family the rest of his life and not possibly die in a cell.
You know, I know your father has been behind bars 53 years now, and in fact, he was just moved not too long ago from ADX Florence, which is the only federal supermax prison. He was moved over to state prison in Colorado. You got a chance to hug your father. What was that exchange like after not being able to touch him, maybe able to see him through the glass, but not being able to touch him and interact with him for so long?
It was amazing for me. It was something I was waiting for a very long time. I never thought that it would feel that way. I would feel that way about hugging and kissing my father. But once I couldn't for all those years, I was looking forward to it, and it was great to actually sit down as a family, him and my son and my daughter, because they had never seen him on the other side of on the other side of the glass. So it was amazing to see him and my mother be able to hug and kiss each other. Like it was great, and it gave hope to see that we may be moving forward. Nothing is guaranteed, but I mean, I think it's time. I believe that he deserves a second chance, and I think it's time. He's been punished, and like I said, he's remorseful, and let's let him move on with life. Let's see. Pardon me?
Larry, I want to ask you, because you said he's remorseful, and I understand a lot of this stuff has happened a very long time ago, and you said that he served his time. When you talk about remorse, what is he remorseful for?
But any of the harm that has been blamed on him and our community, even though he's just things that he's responsible for and not responsible for. He's remorseful that his legacy, some of it has become the lead for, some negative energy in our community.
Right.
Because that wasn't his goal, and he wasn't trying to do that. His goal was to make changes, but it happened, and we can't change certain things. But
you're right, we can't. But Larry, I want to talk to you about this. When your father went to prison, do you remember that day? How old were you when that happened, and what has life been like for you? Because this has become part of your life's mission, is to fight for your father to be free. I remember you were doing rounds with, for example, Kanye West, trying to push to make sure that your father be released.
Well, it's impossible for me to remember that day because I wasn't born yet.
Exactly my point. Yeah.
She was pregnant with me, and I've been living my life like you actually. If you're involved and you stay connected with your family member that's in prison, it's kind of like you're living the bid with him. And also I carry the name. So, as part of his family, I've been guilty of things that I don't even know of just because my name is Larry Hoover. So, I mean, carrying his name comes with good and bad. People look at you, they're scared of you, they're nervous of you, they assume that you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing when they don't know that I've been living the way that he's wanted me to live life, taking care of my family, working a job. I'm on my way to retirement from the job that I'm currently at. But yeah, they just people not knowing that we're really part of the community. We care about community. We do things in the community, and to be looked at by certain people and shake their heads and look down upon us because of the name, and they don't understand who my father or who my family is. It's kind of hurtful, but it's been part of my life for a long time, so I've learned to deal with it.
You know, I knew the answer to that question, Larry, because I've interviewed you before, knowing that, you know, your father didn't get to see you take your first steps. Your father didn't get to see you, you know, right now it's prom season, for example, go to prom and do some of those things. What has it been like having your father sort of raise you from behind bars?
You know, it's just been so normal to me because it's been my life. I think that my father did the best he could to kind of be lenient with me as a son because he couldn't be here with me, to make sure that we didn't have anything in between us. Plus, I've been a pretty humble person, so it didn't take much for you know, for me to be put straight, set straight, put in order. So it's just been it's just normal. It's weird for it to be normal, but it's just been my life. I don't know it any other way. I don't know what it is to have a father at home, or to have a father to go to the games, or, you know, do father and son things.
What are you expecting to come out of this? We know that this is now in the governor's hands. I don't know if you've talked to the governor about this before, but I'm just curious, are you feeling positive? Because we've kind of been down this road in some respects before.
I'm hopeful. You know, I can't put the horse before the carriage, ever. But I'm always hopeful that it's a chance, and it's always gonna be a chance and a fight for us, as long as my father is alive.
Well, we will be watching to see how all of this shakes out. Larry Hoover Jr., again, I know you've made this your adult life's mission, really, to make sure that your father is freed. We always appreciate you taking time out for us here at Fox Chicago. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend to yourself as well, you and your family, including your mom.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
There's a letter out there, and if you want to get a copy of a letter from Mrs. Wendy Jenkins, to me, only way I could describe it, it's the comprehension of the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of unapologetic, unconditional love, life, and loyalty. With the time that I have left, anybody that wants me to text them a copy of the letter, or you can go on Google and Google Larry Hoover. That's what you can do. Google Larry Hoover and hit news, and you will see an article written by the newspaper or the independent news of Tribe, and it's the letter that Wendy Hoover wrote, and it was more of explaining how deep her love is for Larry Hoover and their family. And what you heard from Larry Hoover Jr., I knew of it, but I couldn't tell you like he brought it to you. Explain how parenting from outside and inside the institution for the betterment of raising a family. And it takes two a father and a mother to make it happen when they say that it can't happen. And I'm saying that to say this. Brothers, if you hear me, and you can tell your friends or children if your father or mother are incarcerated, okay, and if the father is out and the mother is incarcerated, or if the father is in and the mother is out, listen to them because they can help guide your life. When Larry Hoover Jr. explained his 53 years or 54 years, he was in the womb of his mother when his father got incarcerated. Yet he never gave up his obligation and responsibility to help raise his children with the help of their mother. And I know the passion, because when I got the call from Reverend Jesse Jackson, may he rest in peace or rest in heaven, in January of 1994, to be a part of his delegation to go to the Oval Office to meet with former President Bill Clinton. The day before, Clinton was having his State of the Union address in support of the 1994 crime bill. Never forget it. That week I was supposed to go and see Larry in Vienna. And Larry said, well, man, Gator, you got to go to D.C. with Reverend Jackson, because you may have something to say. Evidently, Reverend Jackson feels that you do. Because if we don't, they'll try to make it where our sons will have to pay for the sins or the crimes of their father. I said, okay, man, I'm going to go. And I didn't realize what he meant. He didn't fully realize what he meant because we hadn't seen what the bill was going to be like. And at that time, it was a piece in that bill that said if a child a juvenile get arrested with a bag of reefer, and they could say that he was a gang member. Later on, if he wanted to change his life around and to go to college, he wouldn't be able to get a Pell Grant. They took that out the bill. This man that spoke tonight, Larry Hoover Jr., showed a manifestation of the struggle that we did, and to see our sons and daughters graduate from college, to see that his seed, Larry Hoover and Wendy's seed, Larry Hoover Jr., didn't follow his father. His father said, don't follow me. Don't be like me. I made mistakes. To the point that Larry Hoover Sr. realized that his son had became a great father because Larry Hoover Sr.'s grandson is not following his grandfather because his peers feel like he should. He's following his father's footsteps. His father is a man that's working in it, as he just told you, he's about to retire. Not from the drug game, from a game of employment. I want to say, to God be the glory. Let us continue to pray to God through his son, Jesus, that he chooses J.B. Pritzker as a vessel to pardon Larry Hoover Sr. or commute his sentence to time considered served. To God be the glory. That's Reverend Dr. Wallace Gator Bradley.